So let's start off by asking, what are the primary motivations behind India's Operation Sindoor, and isn't New Delhi risking war by taking such a course of action?
Well, you are familiar with the recent terror attack in Pahalgam in Kashmir, and India has suffered at the hands of terrorism, which has originated in Pakistan for the last 3 decades. First, it was Punjab, then it became Kashmir, and there have been terrorism in other parts of the country. And you may be familiar with the infamous Mumbai attack of 2008, when hotels were attacked by Pakistani militants who came by sea to attack India. So this is in keeping with that kind of a tradition where innocent tourists were gunned down in this valley. And for this reason, India had to do something. As I said, for 3 decades, this has been going on. And India has been left with very few choices. They have tried dialogue, they have tried all kinds of negotiations. In 2016, we invited the Pakistanis to investigate an alleged attack, but we have heard nothing about their investigation since then. So they keep on saying that there must be joint investigation. But the perpetrator and the victim cannot investigate together.
Yes, also, the Pakistani Prime Minister described the Indian strikes as an act of war and vowed to retaliate. Can you anticipate the size and scale of the expected retaliation? And do you think that this is going to go out into full-scale war?
No, I didn't get that.
The Pakistani Prime Minister described the Indian strikes as an act of war and vowed to retaliate. Now, this is an escalation, meaning that this could become a full-scale war. What are your expectations when it comes to the retaliation from the Pakistani side, and do you expect things to further escalate?
Well, you know that the Indian side has been very clear that our attacks have been on terrorists and terrorist infrastructure, not on Pakistani military. Now, the question is, I know that Pakistan will retaliate. There is a certain logic in Pakistani action, and the Pakistanis will retaliate. Now, the question is, what will they attack? There is no terrorist infrastructure in India. So that is the problem. And if they attack military facilities in India, you can be sure that India will carry out a second round of attacks, and we will enter into a escalatory situation, which will be extremely dangerous.
Yes, it becomes very volatile. But do you believe that global powers like the US, Russia, and China haven't really taken any serious diplomatic initiatives so far to diffuse the tensions, given how things are escalating quite quickly?
You see, the UN Security Council, I know, has condemned terrorism and terrorist violence and said that people must be brought to justice. The question is that we still do not have an answer as to how they will be brought to justice and who will bring them to justice. There is not even a definition of terrorism in the United Nations. So nations are forced to act on their own. They have to protect their own interests. And that is what India is doing. And as I said, that all this has been happening for the last 30, 35 years, meaning all my life, I've been a former journalist. I have been covering terrorism. The first thing I covered as a journalist was terrorism in Punjab. And I'm still commenting on it today.
Well, so you talked about the UN, which is a global body at the end of the day, but there are other players, like key players, like the US, Russia, and China. Do you think that they could play some sort of efforts to diffuse the situation and the tension so far?
Certainly. Meaning, I hope that even Egypt and Saudi Arabia, UAE, United States, China should play a role. But the point is that their role should not be simply to say, don't do this, don't escalate, but they should come out with some solution.
Yes, mediate basically. Mediate between the two parties. Is that what you
pardon?
You mean to mediate between the two parties and find some sort of action that is a middle?
There is no mediation, because the point is we are talking about terrorist attack. Where is the mediation? What will you say? Don't kill these people. These people kill those people. Meaning, how do you mediate in this situation?
Okay, my final question here is the clashes between India and Pakistan have caused a significant toll on civilian casualties and damages to civilian infrastructure on both sides. How do you assess the humanitarian repercussions of this severe escalation?
Well, I definitely think that uh, Pakistan maintaining a terrorist infrastructure is the primary cause of all this. And if that can be dismantled, and that should be dismantled with the help of the international community, the 4 years ago, 5 years ago, there was the process of the Financial Action Task Force. As a result of that, Pakistan convicted several people, but only for terror financing, not terrorism. But that was when the international community came down on them, they actually agreed to act. And I think even today, if the international community comes down on them, they will act.